while we have the gearbox over this back way here, I'd just like to point out this is your top shaft. You have a snap ring there and a snap ring that's in the bearing on the top and bottom shafts here. So we probably don't need to look at that anymore. We're going to undo the snap ring and drive this top shaft out backwards, and probably the same, I think, from memory, coming backwards there. So we probably don't need to look at this end anymore. I'll swing it around, turn the whole stand around and get it so you're looking down the bell housing, and I'll try and show you undoing the circlips and getting ready to knock it out the back. Okay, I think I've got the camera set up. This is the top shaft here where you can see me hand waving. Now, getting these snap rings off, put your safety glasses on. They'll jump a mile to grab you. And so what I'd like to do, you can see there's a snap ring on the shaft here, and there's a ring around the outer of the bearing, around the outside here. I think you can see that. So we'll take the snap ring off out of the way first. So these snap rings, I've got really good snap ring pliers, but they've been put on back the front, and you might ask, how can they be back the front? Well, there's a point and a end that's not pointy, and the point should go out to grab the pliers. So I'll try and feed that off if I can. We have new snap rings for this gearbox. Okay, so that's off. You can see the snap ring there. It appears to be in good order and everything. So now this shaft can be sort of bumped out of that bearing there. So I'll get a piece of wood. Now the shaft may come all the way and hit you in the foot. So put a little bit of wood down on the ground, and if it does come out, let it and hit the wood. This is Mum's broom handle, but don't you tell Mum. So there we go. That's the front bearing free, and we can, as the shafts come back far enough, I can pull the front gear out, and by doing that I can just slide that whole shaft out the back. So it was sitting in the box with this gear sitting on there. Hold your mouth the right way, Lance. Okay, so that one was sitting on there, and then this fella here was sitting on the shaft as well. So probably that way. I can't remember. I'll have to have a look at the book. I just pulled it out. So that's the top shaft out and done for. Nothing much to that. The bearing is still on there, as you can see, so that's another assembly that we'll sort out and replace the bearings on the bench and look at the shafts and all that. So we'll get rid of that for the moment. Try not to drop it on my feet because I've got my safety thongs on. Okay, the next one is the bottom shaft down here. I will try, I think you can see that better. You know, thought, eh? But anyway, I'll just bump this bearing out of the way. And I'll put that on the shaft over on the bench so I have a reference of the number. And this next shaft, same as you saw before. But the difference is, this time you've got to put your snap ring pliers up off the floor because you dropped them. Okay, so if I come around the side, come in from the top, get the snap ring around where I can just come straight in from the top to get it. Get me big head in the way of the camera probably. Okay, so once again, we'll release this big snap ring on the front. That's him there. Now this front gear, here we should be able to slide forward out of the way like that with the snout to the front. I'll have to put that down there so you can still see. I've had to undo the circlip at the back of the stand here, the one at the back of the shaft, and now with that sitting vertical we should be able to bump that shaft down through the bearing here. And you can see how that's just dropped down there. We'll wind him back up so you can see what's going on. Okay, so that bottom shaft, the shaft will come out forward, but the bearing has to come out through the hole in the front there, which isn't a big deal. But when you get to this stage, you can use your adapter again so you're not banging on the end of the shaft, and give this a little bit of a bump. And that helps that front bearing on the shaft come out through the front hole once more. So that gear won't go anywhere. This shaft just wants to go bush. I'll just sit it there for a second. Come around under here and grab it. So that's your shaft. So you undo the circlip on the front, pull the front gear off, undo the circlip on the back, push it forward, and then you'll get to a stage where this bearing gets caught in the front bore. Just bump it in through there, and these gears here, this fella sits up. Oh, I'll go on there. It sits up against that snap ring, and then this other gear comes in behind like that. You can see quite a bit of bash and bang there. I'm actually going to have a look at this and see what we can replace and what we can't. It's not in real good condition for a gearbox, but we sort of knew that when we bought the tractor. So now this back bearing in the housing, I'm just going to give that a bit of a help out. Looks like a maxi fill with a shield on one side. So we'll put that on the shaft so we know where it all goes. All right, now down in here, I'll see if I can turn the stand a bit. Right, the only thing left in the housing is this here, and that's your reverse idler gear. Yeah, the gear come and engages that to send the tractor backwards. Now I showed you before there was a little shaft and a bolt here. So all we have to do is undo that bolt. And it has a lock tab on it. So I'm just flattening the lock tab with the spanner. And we'll undo the lock tab. And in that gear there's a spacer, and there's a lot of needle bearings and all in there. So at the back of the housing, that fella there, that holds the shaft in place into a groove on the shaft. Then as I pull the shaft out the back, I can put my hand through and catch this. And I'll just try and slide. You got no hope of saving those needles. So there's the reverse idler, and I can't remember how many needles, but there is a kit. We have a new kit to fit it. So we'll put that over on the bench as well. And at this point in time, we have an empty housing. There's nothing in there, apart from a bit of rubbish that needs cleaning out. You can see straight down through the middle. If I turn the, yeah, you can sort of see there, there's nothing left. If I zoom out a bit, you will. You can see there's nothing left in there. You can wave. So now, this goes outside, it gets pressure cleaned. I start cleaning all the paint off the outside while I'm organising parts, and hopefully in a week or two we'll have everything here and we can start putting it back together.